Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new playthrough. At the time of this upload, it's going to be close to spooky season, so what better way to celebrate than with last year's biggest surprise for me, anyway? It was Silent Hill 2 Remake.
Not even that. It's like old. It's like old school SGB spooky season where we were going to start in October and this is going to end in January.
I know, right?
It's like, guys, Halloween ended 2 months ago.
So was this a surprise just because Konami actually made a video game, or that it was better than people thought it was going to be? Because from what I remember, people loved the original Silent Hill too.
Well, first of all, it wasn't Konami who made it. They outsourced it to another developer. And the reason
Bloober team,
the reason people didn't expect it to be good was that developer, who apparently have a shaky history with their own horror.
Blooper, I believe, is the name.
Blooper, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never played any of their previous stuff, so I have no context to what people don't like about them. But I love this remake, so all is forgiven.
Yeah, I am speaking as someone who has never played a Silent Hill outside of sampling a thing or two here. I just never been interested in this series. But I remember, my brother Elliot loves Silent Hill. My friend Matt loves Silent Hill.
Mm-hmm.
This game was fighting an uphill battle because of the development team, and people were like, they're going to screw this up so bad. And lo and behold, the game comes out and it's fantastic. And I just can't help, as someone from the outside, just laugh. So it's like, listen, I understand having some degree of hesitancy, maybe a bit of animosity because of a development team's track record. But it's like, you really don't know until the game comes out.
I mean, you learn more from failure than from success.
It's true. Yeah.
I looked up this developer's history of games, and I didn't recognize any of them just from looking at a list. But that also means that there was nothing so infamously terrible that, I would immediately have caution, realizing that this is the development team,
Well, from what I understand, the questionable aspects of their previous games was mostly in the area of story. So, I don't want to be that guy, but I think people were worried over Double Nothing there, because this is a case where the story was written for them, and they really just had to direct it well and get some good voice actors, So, the actual game that was being remade here, I also don't want to be that guy, but Silent Hill 2's gameplay is kind of freaking basic to the point where some parts of it bore me to tears. So, it's very much a story experience game for me. And as long as they, stuck close enough to the gameplay flow that was actually good and beefed up the stuff that was kind of lacking, I was definitely going to be happy with this remake, provided the story was presented well, which it is.
When did the original come out?
2001, 2002, I think.
Yeah, it was launch window for PS2.
Yeah, it was. God, the PS2's launch window was amazing.
Yeah, it was stacked.
It's interesting to think about, but survival horror in the way we know it, I would say Resident Evil isn't the first survival horror game, but it certainly is the first survival horror game to be modern and to set the trends of the genre. That game only came out less than 10 years before this, so the genre was really new at that time. So the fact that Silent Hill 2 was still a little bit bare bones gameplay wise, supposedly, I've never played any Silent Hill game, so I'm just going off of what these guys have said. That's not too surprising, and now 20 plus years after the fact, there's definitely, I can understand them wanting, oh my god, he just looks like Leon from the back though. Same roughly blonde hair, same stupid jacket.
It's in cases like this where, and I clearly remember this, I wish he retained his goofy fucking running animation from the original, because I clearly recall him swaying his hips left and right when he's running in the original game, and he doesn't really do that anymore. I really, really like that about this James, right? This character's name is James.
James Sunderland.
Sunderland,
yes, but
thank you.
It could be worse. It could be the absolutely ripped James Sunderland from the EGM cover.
Who wasn't ripped on those magazine covers back in the day?
I remember like a Final Fantasy X cover art from a magazine.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
It's just like it looks like Tidus has been lifting for 6 years. And
No,
Yuna,
he's an athlete, so lifting, doping.
Especially in the early 2000s, definitely doping.
look, he's a swimmer, so he's more of a lean athlete in game. But
Yeah.
like, if he looks like he's been lifting to compete with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Yuna's there next to him, like Princess Leia on the old Star Wars movie posters.
Yeah.
It's just like, what the hell?
What were you guys given to make this drawing?
I'm sorry. I was just.
Now, one thing I will say is that the one area that I kind of think the original game does a little bit better is facial expressions and animation. Weirdly, I think that the original game had generally more expressive facial animations in the FMV cutscenes specifically, which it had quite a few of for the time.
Yeah.
I wonder if that has to do with the limited technology or...
Well, it was something that they were really pushing during development, so they really put a lot of work into the facial animations in those FMV cutscenes. But it's a little less impressive in the in-game cutscenes, but they did do a good job with those too.
Yeah. I also... It's weird to compare the acting, considering the original is very stilted, but that kind of works in its favor in a way.
Yeah, everyone feels like a little bit out of it, like they're halfway in a dream, which really does fit with the game. And I think that the actors that they got for that were also complete amateurs to voice acting too, which
fits.
yeah. Like in terms of like, I can't really directly compare the two performances because they both fit the game in a different way, but I do think that the acting in the Silent Hill 2 remake is more refined and lands where it does entirely on purpose rather than it being partially an accident of the actors and experience combined with the specific game that they were doing.
Yeah. Unless we talk about the HD remake, the better.
Yeah,
you're not about this game. You're talking about the one from like the mid 2010s, right? That was really bad.
Yes.
Okay. So I like, this is a story that I think has been told on this channel, but I got the HD remaster collection, and I was like, I don't get what people are complaining about with the voice acting. And I still don't think the voice acting was all that bad a thing. It was just generic anime voices you've heard before, right? But the actual remaster itself, when you sat down to play the game, was terrible. So, yeah. I think the Comic Sans Silent Hill Ranch sign down the road from here. That
is in this game, by the way.
The sign is here, but it has the proper font, thankfully.
No. The Comic Sans font is if you take the camera out of bounds. She says found it. It's in the barn. Yeah, they put it in the barn.
They put it underneath a barn, I believe. Yeah, they put it underneath the ground.
They put it in there as an out of bounds Easter egg. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, so like the HD remaster of the original was built off of an earlier version of the game because I guess they lost the source code for the finished product. And one of the unfinished assets that was still in that game, apart from the fog not being correct anymore, was the Silent Hill Ranch sign, which had placeholder font in place of the font that they finished the asset with in the final game. I think it's right here, actually. This would be the Silent Hill Ranch, I think.
Yeah, here
it is.
And like in the finished product, the sign looks like this. It's got like, block font that you would expect in anywhere else. Apparently, according to the legends, the pre-release sign is in that barn though, so that's cool.
Yeah. But let's be real, the sign with the Comic Sans font is just infinitely funnier.
It is funnier, yeah.
What were you saying, Ted?
Now, this isn't a hill, nor is it silent. Is James Sunderland just stupid?
I want to go into the outside of the game, like more of the technical aspect, because I believe Ryan is the one that recorded this.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming this is the PC version, because I noticed like the frame rate is
This is the PS5 version.
This is the PS5 version. So it just
Yes.
is this the game's natural frame rate then? Is that what we're saying?
I am not sure what mode I'm on.
Yeah.
I mean, the
It's no
game
year,
looks really
but-
nice.
The game looks really nice, but I noticed like the frame rate is like less than 30. But the reason why I'm mentioning it, not so much because it's distracting, because I kind of find it oddly fitting. Because I think of Silent Hill 1 on the PlayStation 1 ran at like 20 FPS, I want to say. Not maybe 30 if there wasn't too much shit going on, but that game was primarily Ocarina of Time with its frame rate. And there's just something I find oddly fitting about this for this, like remaster or not. I'm not sure if anyone else would feel the same way about that.
A lot of people these days are probably playing the PC version with fan-made like upgrades, so they probably forgot that aspect of the PS2 version.
Now, when you say fan upgrades, you mean they give James Sunderland a tramp stamp above his belt buckle.
I mean, probably.
Possibly it would be a fitting tattoo considering the content of the game. But so what was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought because of that. One of the things that kind of amuses the hell out of me is that like ever since the Resident Evil 2 remake, we've actually been getting a couple horror game remakes. We got Alone in the Dark, and now we have this. And it is so funny how much both of them rip off from Resident Evil 2 remake in terms of what they do with the stuff in game. But I will give Silent Hill 2 remake credit. It doesn't go as far down that road as the Alone in the Dark remake does. Sometimes when I'm playing Alone in the Dark remake, I wonder if it's just a total conversion mod for Resident Evil 2 remake, because it does a lot of the same stuff with the keys and the animations associated with that. And wow.
It's
Maybe the devs really
interesting.
liked RE2 remake.
It's like, because Silent Hill and Resident Evil, I always thought had very different, again, coming from somebody who's fairly, distant from horror games as a genre, my impression was always that Silent Hill was the, for lack of a better word, more serious franchise, like less campy overall. I'm not trying to say Resident Evil isn't scary, because it can be. But Silent Hill definitely was more about mood and didn't, play up like B horror tropes as much from my like outsider point of view.
It's also the genre of horror too. Like Resident Evil was more like in your face, straight up horror. Silent Hill was always psychological.
Well, the other thing though is that the post Resident Evil 7 era of Resident Evil has definitely taken a lot of influence from Silent Hill. I mean, Resi 7 literally rips off Silent Hill 2's opening hook. My wife sent me a letter, and now I'm driving to this mysterious location, and I'm leaving
It does.
the car behind.
You're right.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
except it's actually his wife, who died and is still alive, rather than the fever dream that is this game. But like, and then Resident Evil 2 remake did a lot with darkness and the flashlight, which is definitely a Silent Hill aspect. So it's like, oh, and Resident Evil 7 also like made a nod to the whole Silent Hill connection too, because you might or might not remember this from when we did Silent Hill 1 2,000 years ago, but there were a few spoopy moments with the phone ringing when you tried to walk through a door. And Resident Evil 7 had a lot of moments early on where you would walk through a door and a nearby phone would ring. And it would wind up being Zoe, that's her name. It would wind up being Zoe trying to get a hold of you, but like, you could tell. Oh, and in Village, Ethan has that stupid James Sunderland jacket that he passes on to his daughter, Jaina Sunderland.
Now, remind me, I know that Silent Hill 2 is considered like fairly distant from 1 in terms of plot. Like, you don't have to play them in order to understand anything that's
2
going on.
is one of the most standalone games in the franchise, to be perfectly honest with you.
It's a completely different set of characters. For one
Yes,
thing.
You basically just the town's haunted, just roll with it.
So it could
Yeah.
be any other haunted town, basically.
Town's haunted. What?
And like the culty stuff didn't.
Well, it's
really
it's
matter.
not like there's zero connection. Like the antagonist of 4 was first mentioned in this game. There are hints about stuff that's gone on in town, but the most like story relevant thing Silent Hill 2 does for the rest of the series is establish stuff about how Silent Hill works as a supernatural location, you know? Because in the first game, we were fighting a lot of monsters that came out of Alessa's nightmares, right? But we didn't necessarily know much about why that was happening. Silent Hill 2 fleshes that aspect out by detaching it from Alessa and making it part of the town.
It's interesting though that they kind of don't pull more from 2 in sequels, considering that 2 ended up being so much more successful than the first game, and like would end up being the Silent Hill game for a lot of people.
Well, they put Pyramid Head in a lot of things, which kind of pissed all the developers off. So
Oh, okay, that's fair.
So, okay, so one of the things that I will say the original did more effectively was, okay, this one white faded into an actual cutscene where we get a close-up of James Sunderland's face as he sees someone shuffling in the distance. In the original game, you would have just seen a figure shuffling away in the fog in the distance, and that would happen in gameplay, so
Yeah.
you wouldn't necessarily know if it was something that you could interact with at that exact moment. So it's a more tense moment, somewhat spoiled by the fact that when you actually do catch up with the enemy, the combat is terrible in the original game, but you know.
I always found it funny that everyone tells me about like, oh, this game is literally legit one of the most terrifying and immersive experiences I've ever had in my life. And then I look at the gameplay and it's just James smacking something with a stick.
Well, isn't that the point? Like, I know
Yeah.
that a lot of
Like-
horror games don't want you to fight stuff.
Yeah, like Silent Hill 2, from my perspective, again, for someone that's never played this game, is not going to for some time, is, I want to say better than the sum of its parts, because it's not so much about the gameplay aspect of it. It is everything the game is that just makes you feel so immersed in your experience.
Yes.
You know, I mean, and that could be the gameplay for some, to be fair. I don't want to invalidate that. But it is generally the journey you go through in this town, the horrors you encounter, the puzzle solving, which from what I understand gets really fucking intricate on higher difficulties, especially.
Well, it's not just higher difficulties. One of the Silent Hill traditions that started with this game is that there's a separate puzzle difficulty mode apart from just the regular difficulty mode. So you can up the difficulty specifically of the puzzles, or you can up the difficulty of the combat and stuff and leave the puzzles as is, depending on, you know, what kind of player you are and where your strengths and preferences lie.
I like that a lot, actually, because if you don't want harder enemies, but you want harder puzzles, that's a really cool, like, switch to have.
But the thing about the harder puzzle modes is that they give you alternative versions of the same puzzles. Like, if there's a riddle, it will be a different riddle. If there are key items, you'll need to use them in a more complex way. So they actually had to, like, redesign a lot of the puzzles. In the older games, it was only certain puzzles that would be affected by puzzle difficulty. Basically, the big riddle of every given area. But I think there are more puzzles in this remake that are affected by puzzle difficulty than in the original. So
I believe so, yes. And just for the record, going forward in this game, whenever I can skip a puzzle because I already know the solution, I will just for the
just for
purposes of time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, puzzle games are not great for commentary.
Yeah.
Because it's just a matter of... Imagine us doing BrainScratch commentaries on Sudoku. That would be miserable.
we did do Silent Hill 1, and there were a few moments during that where I did forget the solution to a puzzle, and we sat there having me stare at a bloody piano for a little while until I remembered or figured out what buttons to press.
You want the never-ending commentary? John solves the Rubik's Cube.
Actually, that's not that hard. It's really
I believe you, but my mind does not.
It's just memorization. It's that's all it is. You just have to learn the steps and then Like Rubik's cubes these days come with a little pamphlet telling you how to solve it. It's more about like you see there are Rubik's
Wait
cubes.
a minute,
now,
Rubik's cubes have super guides now.
Yeah, they've had super guides since like at
So
least
like when you finally
2000s.
solve it, it just becomes brown because you didn't really do it yourself.
I mean, I learned how to solve a Rubik's cube in the late 2000s, and mine came with a little thingamahooza telling you how to solve it. So skill issue, John.
I thought you you
Sure.
said you looked that up online though.
I think I did because the YouTube tutorial was just better because it's easier to visualize it with a video
Yeah.
than the thing. But it did come with the solution pamphlet. I remember.
Man, this game looks so much prettier when it's running on a computer that can actually run the game at like above minimum specs. Someone actually gifted me the game, so I was able to play. But my rig, unfortunately, is just barely too bad to run this game. I can run it. I can run it in low medium specs, and it will stutter occasionally. I can have a fun gameplay experience, but when I got to the hospital, I was like, you know what? I really want to experience this game without the jank. So I'm going to wait until I have a better computer.
You know, Ryan, learning that Ryan is playing this off of the PlayStation 5 and it's still performing like this is actually not that shocking because at the time of this commentary, MGS3 Delta is coming out and that game performs as bad as a PS2 original. It is less than 60 FPS, 720p, and it's stuttering.
Why?
I don't know.
I guess Konami decided to do their own version of the RE engine, but to differentiate themselves from Capcom, they're like, okay, instead of making an engine that runs well on everything, we're going to make an engine that runs like a pile of trash next to a dumpster.
Wait, doesn't fucking no, because it runs on Unreal 5, I think.
Exactly.
So Kojima has
so
the
does
patent.
this game.
So Kojima has the patent on Fox Engine, then I guess, because why not just use that?
Good question.
What's the Fox engine again?
That's the engine he developed for MGS5, Ground Zeroes and Phantom Pain, and the game runs buttery smooth on both PS4 and PS3.
I'm surprised Konami let him do that. Then
That's what it is. That's why I was asking. I wasn't sure if that was the case. So that's something that I'm gonna have to look up for myself, or the comments can clarify on that one. But I just find it funny that I don't know, like for all the advances in graphical fidelity, frame rate issues are eternal.
Yeah, but that's the end of that part, and we'll see you in the next one for Silent Hill 2 Remake. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you guys all later. Bye.